They'll never say it out loud, but once you're inside a nursing home, the truth starts showing up, one dark reality at a time. What they sold you as safety, comfort, and care often turns into something else entirely. This video isn't here to scare you. It's here to show you what no one else will, because by the time you realize the cost, getting out might not be an option. Let's start with the first truth. 1. You won't just lose your freedom. You'll forget what it feels like. They don't take it from you all at once. That would be too obvious, too alarming. Instead, they take it piece by piece, quietly, softly, almost politely, and because of that, you barely notice what's happening until it's already gone, your freedom. When you first move into a nursing home, you tell yourself you're still in control. You still make your own decisions. You're just getting a little help, a little rest, a little peace. That's what they told you. That's what your family said. It's just temporary. You'll still have your space, your routine, your choices, but that's not how it works. From the moment you arrive, things begin to change. You feel it in the little moments first, like when breakfast is served before you're hungry, or when a nurse comes in to check your vitals while you're still waking up, or when you're told you have to wait until someone is available just to step outside for fresh air. You think, you know what, it's not a big deal. You tell yourself they're just doing their job. But inside, something shifts. You used to wake up when your body felt ready. Now you wake up when someone knocks. You used to eat when your stomach told you to. Now it's when the schedule allows. You used to take walks when the weather was nice, or when your thoughts felt heavy and needed space. Now, you have to ask. You have to wait. You have to fit someone else's calendar. It's not that you can't speak up, you can. But over time, you learn that pushing back only causes friction. So you adjust. You make yourself smaller. You stop asking for things that don't fit the routine. And the saddest part is you don't even realize you're doing it because it doesn't feel like surrender. It feels like being easy. It feels like not being a bother. It feels like surviving, but it's not. It's losing control, one compromise at a time. You start skipping the requests. You stop asking for your favorite food because it's not on the menu. You stop mentioning that you like to stay up late and read because the lights go out at 9. You stop telling anyone that you miss the way your home smelled in the morning after you brewed your own coffee. Because what's the point? It's not coming back. And nobody here has time to care about those little things anyway. What you once did without thinking, choose, decide, express, is now something you second guess. And one day, you catch yourself waiting. Not for anything specific, just waiting. Waiting for someone to bring your lunch, waiting for someone to open a door, waiting for someone to tell you what happens next. That's when it hits you. You didn't just give up control, you forgot what it even felt like to have it. And that's what makes this truth so dark. It doesn't feel like a moment of loss, it feels like a gradual erosion, like a slow forgetting. You stop remembering what it felt like to move freely through your day, to walk outside without permission, to pick your own clothes, not from the stack they laid out for you, but from a closet filled with your personality, your choices. You stop remembering the pride in making your own coffee, the comfort of sitting in your favorite chair, the satisfaction of planning your own meals, running your own errands, saying no when you didn't feel like doing something. You forget what it felt like to be in charge of your own life. And the world around you, well, it doesn't ask anymore. It just assumes you're fine with the system, assumes you're okay with the rules, assumes you've adjusted. But inside, something's missing. A voice that used to say, I don't want that. A part of you that used to push back, take charge, make noise. That part grows quiet. It doesn't die, but it sleeps. And if you're not careful, it may never wake up again. You become easier to manage. You become someone who doesn't complain. You become the perfect resident, the quiet one, the one who doesn't ask for more, the one who says thank you when things are convenient for everyone else but not for you. And people think that's a good thing, but it's not. It means you're disappearing because your independence isn't just about walking or cooking or bathing on your own. It's about being yourself, about knowing that even when life gets harder, your choices still belong to you. But in here, choices are processed, scheduled, standardized. You're not asked what you want. You're asked to follow what's already decided. And once that becomes your normal, you stop noticing how much you've given up until the day someone asks you what you want and you don't even know how to answer. That's what happens when you stop choosing for yourself. You forget how to. You forget what you used to like. You forget what used to matter. You forget the small rituals that made your day feel yours. And when you forget those things, you don't just lose freedom. You lose your identity. You don't mean to. You never intended it. But the system doesn't ask for your identity. It only asks for your cooperation. And when you cooperate long enough, You become unrecognizable even to yourself. So if no one has told you this before, hear it now. Freedom doesn't leave you in one night. It fades when you stop protecting it. And the worst part is, once it's gone, you don't even miss it because you don't remember how much it meant until it's too far behind to reach. But while you're losing your freedom, something else begins to go too. 2, you'll age twice as fast once you're inside. You expect to slow down as you get older. That's normal. That's natural. Everyone tells you it's just part of life. But what happens inside a nursing home isn't normal. It's not natural aging. It's accelerated. And the worst part is it doesn't feel dangerous at first. It feels easy. And that's how it begins. You move in thinking you're making a smart choice. You're told you'll be safe, well-fed, looked after, no more heavy lifting, no more cooking, no more worries. And in the beginning, that actually feels like a gift. Meals are served, medications are tracked, everything is done for you. You don't have to lift a finger. But what no one tells you is that when you stop lifting fingers, eventually you can't lift them at all. Because the body isn't designed to be still. It's designed to move, to stretch, to resist, to act. And when you take that away, when you stop walking to the kitchen, stop reaching to the top shelf, stop bending, standing, balancing, your body starts forgetting how to function. Not because of disease, not because of some medical condition, but because of disuse. You don't notice it right away. You're just sitting a little more, resting a little longer, letting people help you because why not? That's what they're here for. You think you're being smart. But day by day, your muscles begin to shrink, your joints tighten, your reflexes slow, and the strength you spent a lifetime building, it starts to disappear, and you feel it. At first, it's just a little more effort to get out of a chair. Then walking to the dining room feels like a chore. Then you're grabbing the railings because your balance isn't what it used to be. And suddenly you're wondering when you stop trusting your own body. It happens fast, faster than you'd ever believe. You used to take pride in doing things yourself. Now you're afraid to. You don't want to fall. You don't want to struggle in front of anyone. You don't want to take the risk. So you ask for help, or worse, you stop trying at all. You start avoiding movement. And when you avoid movement, you lose it. That's not an opinion. That's a law of nature. And it's not just your legs. It's your lungs, your circulation, your digestion, your energy, even your memory. All of it is connected to motion, effort, challenge. But in a nursing home, effort is removed. Everything is built around making life effortless. The elevators, the buttons, the schedules, the routines. It's all done to make things easy. But easier doesn't mean better. Easier often means weaker. Easier often means duller, slower, less alive. And after a few months, that's exactly how you start to feel. Less alive. You might be eating 3 meals a day. You might be taking all your pills. You might be getting your checkups, but you're shrinking. On the outside, sure, but also on the inside. You're not being asked to do anything that reminds your body it's still capable. And without that challenge, it simply stops trying. You lose your edge, your posture, your pace, your purpose. And then, the scariest part, you lose your will to get it back. You begin to accept this slower version of yourself. You stop reaching for what you once could do. You start saying, it's fine, I'm old. This is just how it is now. But you're wrong. That's not just age. That's decline from stillness. And stillness in this place isn't rare. It's the rule. You're surrounded by chairs, hallways, people who sit for hours without moving, people who once came in walking, smiling, full of stories, and now sit in silence, slouched, waiting for the next meal, the next check-in, the next day. You see it everywhere, and you start to become it. You watch your body slow down, and no one raises an alarm because to them, you're just settling in. You're adjusting. They say you're comfortable. But deep down, you know what it really is. You're fading, quietly, consistently, faster than you should be. Because this place, this well-intentioned place, isn't designed to keep you strong. It's designed to keep you contained. It doesn't ask you to grow. It doesn't push you to move. It doesn't challenge you to fight for your strength. And that's why you lose it. Not because you're weak, but because no one expects you to stay strong. And after a while, neither do you. You stop fighting for your body. You stop believing you can get it back. And when that belief dies, what follows is predictable. More dependence, more stillness, more rapid decline. You were never warned about this. No one said, hey, if you stop walking, you'll lose the ability to walk. No one said, if you let go of motion, your body will let go of you. But it's true, and you're living it. You might think you'll bounce back when you want to, that when the time comes, you'll start moving again, exercising, getting stronger, but that day never comes because you never feel quite ready. You never feel quite strong enough, and eventually it becomes too late. And once it's too late, it doesn't matter how much you want to move. Your body simply can't. That's how fast it happens. And while you're sitting there, wondering when things started to fall apart, the system around you smiles and says, you're doing great. But inside, you know the truth. This comfort is costing you everything. They told you this would be care, but care without movement is a slow death, a soft decline, a quiet surrender, and no one will call it what it is. But you'll feel it every morning, every step, every time you sit a little longer, move a little less, and wonder why you're so tired from doing nothing. That's the truth. That's the part no one tells you. But as your body fades, something else starts to vanish too. Not just your strength, but your identity. 3. You become a file, not a person. At first, people still call you by your name. They smile when they say it. They ask how you're doing. Maybe they remember your birthday or compliment your shirt. It feels personal. It feels warm. And you hold on to that thinking, I'm still me. I still matter. But slowly, things shift. You begin to notice it in the tone. The way staff members speak to you, kind but rushed, like they're already thinking about the next task. They're not being rude. They're just busy. There are rooms to check, charts to fill, medications to hand out, and suddenly you're not the center of the moment anymore. You're part of a checklist. Instead of, good morning, how was your night? You hear vitals time. Instead of, would you like tea or coffee? You get a tray placed in front of you without asking. Instead of conversation, you get routine, you get systems, you get what's efficient. You realize they know what medications you take. They know your blood pressure history. They know whether you need help getting dressed, but they don't know who you are. They don't know what you did for a living. They don't know your favorite season or what kind of music moves you. They don't know the names of your children or the smell of your kitchen in the morning. All of that, the life you built, doesn't live here. It stays out there where no one can see it, and you try to hold on to it. You keep your favorite books nearby. You ask for your own clothes instead of the standard ones. You remind them you like your tea a certain way. Sometimes they smile and accommodate you. Other times they forget. You remind them again. But eventually it starts to feel like being yourself is just another item they have to manage, another request in a place that runs on speed. You're told to be patient, to understand they're doing their best, and maybe they are, but that doesn't change the feeling that you're disappearing, not just physically, disappearing as you, because this place runs on structure, and structure doesn't have time for story. You stop being the person who traveled, the person who cooked Sunday dinners, the person who raised children or ran a business. You start being the person in room 204, the diabetic, the hip fracture, the dementia watch. Even your voice starts to carry less weight. You try to advocate for yourself and it gets documented instead of discussed. You mention something twice and it becomes a pattern. You ask for something a third time and you're labeled difficult or worse, confused. They're not cruel, they're not heartless, they're just operating under pressure. And in pressure, it's easier to see tasks than people. It's easier to treat symptoms than to recognize souls. And you feel it. You feel it when someone checks your chart before looking in your eyes. You feel it when you're spoken to with soft detachment, like your opinion isn't quite necessary. You feel it when your identity is overshadowed by your diagnosis. Eventually, you stop fighting for the details. You stop correcting people when they mispronounce your name. You stop mentioning that you used to be a teacher or a pilot or an artist. You stop bringing up your stories because no one asks for them. And without realizing it, you start becoming exactly what the system sees: a set of needs, a collection of risks, a care plan with bullet points. You used to be someone known for something. Now you're someone monitored for stability. You used to be seen. Now you're reviewed. And every time that happens, every time a piece of you gets left behind in favor of efficiency, a little more of your self-worth slips away. That's the dark truth they don't talk about. You didn't just move out of your home. You moved out of your identity. You entered a system where names are secondary and personalities are background noise, where your life story takes a back seat to your medication schedule. And the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to remember the version of yourself that existed before this place. You begin to wonder if anyone out there remembers you either. If they remember who you were, not just where you are now. And the scariest part, you begin to wonder if it matters. Because inside these walls, being seen as a full person isn't part of the process. It's a luxury, a rarity, and eventually a memory. But what happens next is even harder. Because while the people inside may reduce you to a file, the people outside may stop thinking of you altogether. 4. The world outside moves on without you. In the beginning, your family visits. They bring smiles, hugs, and promises. We'll be back next weekend. And for a while, they are. You wait by the window, dressed and ready, because someone is coming. And they do, until they don't. Life gets busy, the visits slow down. Phone calls replace conversations, then texts replace calls, then silence replaces everything. They say they love you, and they do. But love without presence begins to feel like absence. You tell yourself it's okay, that they're just busy. But you start to feel it, the space growing between you and the world outside. Holidays are the worst. They promise to come, but plans change. You sit at the edge of your bed, staring at the door, waiting, hoping. You call less, you speak less, not because you have nothing to say, but because you don't want to be a burden. And when that thought creeps in, don't remind them you're still waiting. A part of you goes quiet. You were once the center of their lives. Now you're a note they forget to reply to. A visit they keep postponing. You haven't passed away, but it starts to feel like the world has already moved on without you. And while the people outside forget, the people inside start to do the same. Because when no one sees you, when no one listens, your voice slowly disappears. And that's what comes next. 5. Your voice will get quieter until it's ignored. In the beginning, you speak up. You let people know what you like. You ask questions, you make suggestions, you say, "No, I'd rather not," and expect it to mean something. For a little while, it does. People listen, they adjust, they treat your voice like it matters, but then you notice something. You say you're not hungry and they bring the tray anyway. You mention your back hurts and they say, "That's normal at your age." You ask to go outside and they tell you to wait. Again, at first you're patient, then you're frustrated, then you start wondering if they even heard you. The truth is, they did. They just didn't act on it. And that's when you start questioning yourself. Maybe I'm being difficult. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I should stop asking. So you do. You go along with the routine. You nod when they explain things, even if you disagree. You accept their decisions, even when they don't feel right. You stop saying no, because no doesn't seem to change anything. And over time, your voice, the one that used to stand up for you, grows quiet. Not because you don't care, but because you've been trained to think it won't matter. You used to be heard. Now you're managed, reviewed, redirected, corrected, labeled. If you push too hard, you're uncooperative. If you speak too strongly, you're confused. If you say no too often, you're flagged for behavioral monitoring. That's how the system works. It's not just that your voice gets ignored, it's that the system starts to treat it like noise, and once you're seen that way, it becomes harder and riskier to speak up at all. Eventually, you only say what's safe, what's expected, what won't get written down in a report. You trade honesty for peace, and in that silence, a part of you begins to disappear. Because when your voice stops counting, so do your needs. And when your needs are ignored, you stop asking for anything at all. That's the dark truth here. You don't lose your voice all at once. You surrender it, one ignored moment at a time. And after enough of those moments, something dangerous happens. You forget you ever had power. And when that happens, when you no longer believe your voice can change anything, leaving becomes almost impossible. And that's the final truth. 6, leaving isn't as easy as they told you. When you moved in, they told you it wasn't permanent. Just try it out, they said. See how it goes. If it doesn't feel right, you can always leave. That gave you comfort. It made everything feel safe, reversible, like you were still in control. But that promise, it's not as simple as it sounds. At first, going home feels like a real option. You think, if I don't like it here, I'll just go back. But then time passes. Your home sits empty. Things get moved, rearranged, sold off, bills pile up, repairs go undone. Your old life quietly starts dissolving in the background. And then there's your body, the strength you had before, the independence you came in with. It's not what it used to be. The walks you used to take, the routines you used to follow, the little things you never thought twice about, they're harder now, slower, heavier, because you've adapted, slowed down, settled in, and when you've spent months not doing things for yourself, the thought of starting over is overwhelming. So you hesitate, you bring it up, maybe to your daughter, maybe to the nurse. You say, "I think I want to go home," and they smile kindly, but there's a pause. "Are you sure you can manage on your own? Wouldn't it be safer to stay?" "We just want what's best for you." That's what they say. And suddenly, what felt like your decision doesn't feel like yours anymore. You begin to doubt yourself. Maybe they're right. Maybe you wouldn't manage. Maybe it's too late. And just like that, the idea of leaving becomes smaller, distant, fragile. You tell yourself you'll try again in a few weeks, when you're stronger, when things settle. But the truth is, the longer you wait, the harder it gets. The more permanent this place becomes. And then one day, without realizing it, you stop thinking about leaving altogether because the home you once had doesn't exist anymore. The strength you once had isn't there. And the version of yourself who could fight for freedom has gone quiet. That's what no one warns you about. They tell you the door is always open. But over time, that door moves further away. And even if it's still there, you may no longer have what it takes to walk through it. This place wasn't supposed to be the end, but for so many, it quietly becomes exactly that. You didn't just move into a facility. You stepped into a world where freedom fades without a sound, where strength slips quietly, where voices go unheard, where the life you once lived starts to feel like a story someone else told you. They said you could leave whenever you wanted. What they didn't say is that by the time you're ready to leave, you might not remember how.